Well, it's a nice cold day outside, and I figured this would be a good day to get started on this bar top. This is a piece of spalted sycamore. There's a video of Eddie and I sawing this. At the time I was sawing the log, I had no idea this would turn into Alex's bar top. Otherwise, I would have cut it thicker, but we're going to make it work. This is when I did that flattening jig. It basically uses that router to make this board flat. So this is the money end of the board right here, and take you off the stand here, and I'm going to show you how nice this is if I can get you off the stand. And look at that. That is a beautiful piece of spalted wood there. So it's going to be a lot of caliber in it, and wait till that epoxy hits it. And if you see the blue line there, that's going to come off because this board flares out wider on that end, and this is where the drink rail will go. And I want to make that a nice square edge, and we'll just put a little radius on it with the router. The drink rail itself is going to be this piece of walnut, and it's got a little bit of a crook to it, but I think we can thin it down. I think we can pull it tight. I want to keep some of that sapwood in the walnut, and I'm not sure if it's going to be this board, and there's another one there I had picked. I'm not sure which one it's going to be yet, but I want that sapwood to carry this light wood into it, so it just don't look like a piece of brown walnut stuck onto this sycamore. And I don't think that would be such a good contrast there. So the first part of this video, I'm going to go back to this jig that I had built, and I have a quick demonstration of it. This is my version of a flattening sled for a router, and it's nothing more than two pieces of unistrut that are used for electrical work, and they're clamped down to the bench, so it's very easy setup. And the business end of it is nothing more than a piece of OSB, and the router itself cut the slot in there. It's an 1.5 inch facing bit that was used on my CNC machine to flatten the table up. And you basically just run this back and forth and slide it down, back and forth, and it really don't take long. So I'll show you that clip next, and then we'll get on to planing down this piece of sycamore and getting it ready for cutting a rabbet in it for the drink rail. So let's get started. All right, let's take this thing for a test drive. I started over here. This is going to get cut off, so we're going to ignore this little bit here. That's going to just go away. So you just want to take you know, close to a full path and just keep sliding over. So Really isn't working too bad. I'm already starting to touch the front. We're getting that little bit of a cup out of it. So this will take some time, but you can see what we accomplished here in a short amount of time. And when it's done, it will be as flat as M2 rails are. So that is, I just want to give you a demonstration on how the heck this thing was going to work. I didn't know how it was going to work until we basically had set it up. Again, it's just nothing more than a piece of OSB, runs at a track. This slides back and forth in a slot. You got a facing bit for the bottom. And as long as you have a router, you can flatten boards real easy. And then the bigger you can make your sled, you can do wide slabs. I don't need nothing more than 22. So the next time you'll see me, we will be working on them sound panels for the bus motor. But I just wanted to bring you along and show you a new shop project coming up. And I just want to get this ready to go through possibly my planer. Once I get the bottom flat, I don't really need the sled no more. It'll go through my planer and it won't rock. And it'll come out dead flat. I don't know how much thickness we're going to lose, but that's just what happens when wood does its own natural thing. And that's just what wood does. Well, we're at the planer. I'm fortunate enough to have a 24-inch capacity, and this is a SCMI. It's a Rockwell Delta that's made in Italy. I had found these through a company down from our area. It's Hamilton Tools and Supply, and he buys up a lot of goes to auctions, liquidation sales, and this actually come out of Erie High School up in Erie, Pennsylvania. There was 2 of these, and I was fortunate enough to snag one of these up. It's a 4-knife head. It's got a 12 horsepower main motor on it and a 1.5 horse drive motor on it. It's a beast. It'll do anything you want to do. It'll take heavy cuts. Someday I might put a spiral head in it. I'm not sure about that. I also have a 36-inch wide time saver, but we're not going to use that in this project, and you'll see why here in a bit. So we're going to take it and just get it cleaned up a little bit. We're not going to take it until it's completely clean because I want to keep this top as thick as possible. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to fire up the dust system and let's see how it comes to life. I'll take you over here and you can watch it come out. In fact, let's go right here so we're not tripping over it. Take it down another 8. That was pretty successful there. I got to take a good look at this thing and see how much more I really want to take off. This down here, this will be on the inside of the bar. And I think I'm going to do is just work this a little bit out here with a random orbital sander. Otherwise, if I got to take all this off, this bar is going to become too thin. I don't think that's going to be a problem. But where you're sitting and putting your drinks, it's nice and flat. Down the other end here, sorry about the camera moving around, but it's all I can do for you. This right here, if you run your hand across it, it's probably got a good, oh, let's see if we can find something here that's semi-straight. But if you eye that up, I might take just one more pass off of this thing and try to get this end down here cleaned up a little bit more. But we're almost where we need to be, where we can go ahead and do some final work with the sander, and then we're going to rip that edge down that I showed you. And once we got that down, we're going to put this back onto that flattening jig one more time. And the reason for that is I'm going to cut a rabbet on the bottom side of this thing to put that drink rail in. So that's how it's going to be done. So I'm going to finish planing it. Next time you see me, we'll be doing a little bit of handwork, and then we'll be doing some ripping on that. Well, this is the bottom side, and I snapped the line back on here, and we're going to try to parallel it out a little bit. It's got some really nice character on the front edge, and I just want to make that where the drink rail goes just a little bit neater. And this is just way too wide down here, so I'm just going to use a little cordless saw, and we're going to trim this off. Well, we're back here, and I got the thing, it's upside down or downside up, whatever you want to say it. And this is where the drink rail is going to be installed. So the bottom side, I need a rabbet to run the whole entire length. So it's going to stop right here. So I had set a clamp, which will stop the jig. I got guide blocks that are basically wedging this thing between the two rails. I also installed some shimming to bring this up almost perfect with the track. And then on the router sled, if you're going to use this, this is working really good. I made a couple test cuts before we turned the camera on. I installed a stop back here. So this limits the travel, which is going to give me my 2-inch path. So we'll be doing this in 2 paths. The router itself, you just basically loosen the screw and you just wind it down. And we're trying to get 3/4 inch depth. It'll have to be done in multi-passes. But as you can see, you just slide the router along and it basically takes care of the business. You do this on a table saw with a stacked dado head or something, you're going to have your hands full. I did this on my brother's bar, and after that situation, I said, I got to come up with a better way to put drink rails on live edge slabs. And the reason I didn't stop it short up here, this is going to meet the wall. So it's not going to really matter. This will be terminating into a wall. Down here, this is going to be exposed. So I do not want this to come through and show that joint. So what I'm going to do is I'll cut an ear on the drink rail, and it's going to give you the illusion that that drink rail has been applied from the front or the back of the bar, whatever you want to call it. But it gives you the illusion like that was just stuck on there, and it's kind of a nice, real nice look on there. So let's fire up the router, and I'll make a few test cuts, or a few cuts here. I already did the test cuts. And I'm going to try to get you far enough away so we're not getting covered in dust. We'll make a couple passes, and then maybe I'll do some time lapse, and we'll see in real time. I'll let you know when it's done how long it actually took to do this. It shouldn't be all that bad, but let's get her rolling here. It would be nice to have dust extraction. I do not have that right now. And always start your router off of the workpiece. Try to always remember that, because it'll try to torque on you. Also, I installed a clamp on this side to basically stop it from coming too far out. So let's go ahead and just run a couple rows here. And that got us about 1/8 of an inch. So we'll need a few more passes for sure. So we'll continue on, but it's working really great. Better than the table saw. And tell you what, if you want to build one of these, I might just do a separate video on how I built this darn thing. It's working out much better than I thought it would. You can spend literally thousands of dollars on these, and they'll have linear bearings, all kinds of nonsense. But if you just want a bare bones basic setup, tell you what, this is working out really good. Let's finish routing her out. Well, there it is. We finally got that rabbet cut in underneath. And I'm just looking at some walnut options here. And boy, Alex is going to be really pleased with his bar. It's turning out really, really spectacular here. And what we're going to do now is this piece of walnut, I'm deciding if I'm going to leave some of this wane in it, because this tapers down and maybe that'll carry it into that. First thing we got to do is we got to get over to the joiner and get that piece of walnut flat. Alex, what are you doing here today?
Oh, you know, I got off work a little early. What are you working on?
I'm building a bar for Uncle Edmund.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Uncle Edmund, he wants to have a new bar, so I figured this piece of Spalted sycamore would be nice for him.
It's gonna be a nice bar top. It's gonna
yeah.
Be really lucky to have.
Well,
this.
one of these days we'll get on yours.
Well, do you need a hand?
Yeah. Let's tell you what. You can run camera here, and we're going to get some joiner action here. So.
All right, I'll take that over.
All right. Let me get the board here, and let's see what we end up with. And I'll put a link in the description or a pinned comment. There's two videos you can watch. This was some walnut that we had bought a few years back, and it's been drying in a shop here for quite a while. Let me move this. This is going to end up being in my way. It's too cold out here to be opening the door up. Longer stuff I can't fit on this joiner, but this is an old, probably 1940s Porter C. And this is a beast. But if you're going to work with wood, you need a joiner. We're going to flat face the bottom here. It's got 4 knives, large diameter cutter head, and the key is a feeder. This really makes this machine so much safer. So I'm going to move the fence a little bit towards the front here. I think that'll work better. And we'll go ahead and see the magic happen here. It's going to take a few passes. Come to life here. We're going to take one more pass and see if we can get it flat enough to go through the planer to get our thickness. You get the camera right here. That's what it's doing. And we'll take one more. But see, the color variation is going to be nice with the sapwood, with that spalted sycamore. I think this is going to tie it in nice. Take it over to the planer next. Let's get it down to the final thickness. Then we'll go ahead and straight edge it, and we'll see what it looks like when it's done here. All right, I'm over at the planer now. We're back here again. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get this as close as we can to the final thickness. And what I do is I get another piece of scrap wood, and what I'll do is I will get this down to the thickness so I'm not wasting the good piece. You can't add wood back to a board, so the best way to do is just have an extra piece. Let's fire up the dust system. And we're going to make a couple different passes here. This will be the underside of the drink rail. So that cleaned up perfect. Now I'm going to run my scrap board through there. And we're going to go over and check it. So here's the bar top. And you can see we got to come down that much more. So we're just going to keep adjusting it. Still got a little bit to go, so let's take another pass off of that walnut. And we'll get the money side done first. That's going to be beautiful. That's what we're looking for. Take one off of that scrap piece. Let's see if we can get it right. little bit more. Let's check it throughout the center. Yep, we need that little bit. This should be it. There we go. That's perfect. That's perfection right there. So we're going to go ahead and get that walnut down to its final thickness and then back to the joiner. All right, we're back at the joiner, and this joiner came with a full guard on it for all you safety police. The guard come out to about here. You cannot run a board on its edge with that guard. The whole reason I got the feeder on here is when you're flat faced and your fingers get nowhere near it, you couldn't even run that with that guard. There's no way. So you just got to be careful. Don't have baggy, loose sleeves, you know, like a flannel unbuttoned here. Long sleeves are fine. You can even roll up your sleeves if you're worried about that. We are not going to get up and close and personal with these knives. We will not be getting close to those with our fingers. But this board, when you look at it, you can see it's hollow in the middle and it's touching on the front and back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few slices and get this part out, and I'm going to come to the back side of it. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm trying not to lose this wane, but I'll keep a little bit of it on there. So that's the only thing you got to really be careful of. So we're going to fire this up, and we're going to get this thing straight, and then over to the table saw with it. So pass. Now we're going to go to the back side. Side again, and you want to stay off the knives, so here we go. It's getting straighter by the second. Pressure to the outfeed table, because the outfeed table is doing all the work. And we didn't hear no brakes in it, so one more pass, we can get rid of that, just that little bit of saw mark. We're almost there. This will be the final pass. I've ran boards as long as 14 foot on this thing. And there we go. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the table saw and just get a good eye of that thing. And you can see how one side's curved and the outside is nice and crooked. So we're gonna parallel it over here at the saw right now. I love having a camera person. So what we want to do is we want to see, looks like 6 1/4 and 6 inches. So 6 inches is what I wanted to have in the first place. So we're going to go for that. All right, fire up the dust system. And I'm going to lower the blade just a little bit. I was ripping heavy stuff. So, I want the top part of it up. So we're going to cut the back side off. This board is ready to cut the final length. And what we're going to do is we're going to radius the outside of it off, because it's going to be overhanging the pedestal bar, and people are going to walk by and do this. So we're going to make a nice, we're going to do a radius on here. We're going to cut it to the final length, and we're going to cut an ear on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut a little notch in there, and that'll make it look like this thing is part of the bar and held on by who knows what. But it's going to be underneath there, held on good. So let's get it cut to final length. Let's do the radius, little dog ear, and then we'll go ahead and install it. Well, we got the drink rail cut to size. I do not have a pencil that is white. Very hard to see a pencil line on walnut. It's very hard to see. So, a little trick I've always used is just get some painter's tape, put it in the vicinity of where you're going to draw your line at. And again, we're going to make a dog's ear. So, this is how the drink rail is going to fit under the bar. So, it's limited out all the way back. So, we're going to draw this line, and that's going to be what we're going to cut off. We're going to leave enough remaining here, or we're going to cut off enough here so that we clear that little radius in the back. And also, we're going to do something else here. We're going to put a little radius on here we've talked about. And sometimes what you have in your hand is your best tool. This roll of painter's tape will be just about perfect, and we're going to go and trace that. So, and you can buy all kinds of radius jigs, you can buy all kinds of stuff, but look, there it is. That's simple. So now we're going to take a quick measurement, and we don't have to be tight, so we can go back, let's go back 2 inches. And that's, I think that'll work out just enough. And let me get my square here real quick. And boy, that thing is fitting nice. I'm just going to put a square line on there. All right. Tell you what, if you don't have a camera person in your videos, man, I suggest you get one. All right, over to the horses. And we're just going to take nothing more than a handheld saber saw. And I like these old Bosches. This thing here, I've had this thing forever. And it's kind of like a handheld sawzall. That thing will really cut. We want to sort of leave the line. And this blade, oh, there we go. The blade was sitting in the cabinet and was kind of twisted. So let's just, we can tune that up a little bit. So we'll pull that tape. It's all going to be how it fits there. Okay, you can back up there a little bit, son. And I'm just going to rough this in. Now, we're going to get a sander and finish that off, and we're going to do that pretty much by eye. We're not going to, it's not going to be totally perfect until we just spend some time with the sander. So let's get the, and this tape does stick good. All right, so I got some 120 grit on the random orbital. We're going to go ahead and make that radius nice and sweet. So, just don't want no flat spots in it. That's just about there. And while we got it here, let's just give it a quick sanding. Then once I finish sanding it, I'll show you the next step here. Yeah, that's looking real good. And the last step we're going to do, I don't want to bore you to death here, and I can tune this up as we go. That's just trying to get you some general purpose of how I'm doing this. You don't need a bunch of fancy stuff. And this router, look how old this thing is. The cords are all pretty much cracked on it. But these old Ryobis, they were a good router. They were cheap. And always look at make sure that this thing is off when you plug it in. Because it's a heck of a surprise when this thing comes to life. So we're going to do, and we're going to climb cut it, which means going reverse so we don't blow this. You'll see here. We're just going to... So that's going to be the radius. We're going to put, that little bit of radius. I got a couple flat spots, but we'll get that fixed up. But next time you see us, we're going to be going ahead and attach this thing to the bar itself. And I'll go ahead and get this run down with the router, and we're getting closer to being done. So we'll see you next. Okay, we're ready to put the drink rail on the underside of this. So you've seen so far today, we took this slab from a raw piece of wood, showed you how we flatten it with the jig, how we use that same flattening jig to cut the rabbet in it. It's turning out really good. We're not going to run screws all the way to about here, because if you're looking at the edge of this, it's thin here, and then it gets up to its full thickness. So we're just going to glue and clamp this. So we got everything set in here ready to go. We're going to be real careful not to run glue out so it squeezes out. So we'll just take our good old time here and don't make a mess. You don't need a ton. And I'm going to do is on this back edge here, we're going to give it, if it squeezes out there, it don't matter. But this will bond in real nice. All right, looking good. Okay, can you run camera and help hold too?
Yeah, yes.
All right. There you go. Now what we're going to do, we're going to set it in close, and then I'm going to just run it back and forth a couple times, and that will spread the glue. That's one of the old timers tricks here. So we're going to let this overhang just a little bit. We're going to sweeten that up later on with the sander, but I'm going to start down here where we're nice and flush, and use 1 1/4 inch drywall screws. I'm not a big fan of drywall screws for build stuff, and we don't want nothing coming through the other side. I'm going to probably have to countersink these just a little bit deeper, but we're going to go ahead and pull them down. Nothing's coming through. I probably could have used 1 5/8 inch, but it would be just about coming through. So once the glue dries, I'll go ahead and pop these out real quick and give it a little countersink. And we're going to put some cardboard under it. Really don't matter. I'm going to sand it out anyway. But we're going to just let that dry up with the glue. I got one more to go here. What I want to see now is if it pulled down enough. So I don't know if you can help turn it over here, Alex. Just bring it back, or we're going to just bring it right over. Okay, not too far. You're going to miss the horse. There you go. Yeah, I know. But there we go. And looking down there, that looks almost going to. All right, this is my little secret weapon here. This is a flap sander, and I can't remember where I bought it, but this is nothing more than a air die grinder with a 1/4 inch collet, a chuck, and this thing really gets cranking. So it'll polish this edge here. So I'll show you here. This is after it was already hit with the sander. And if you get up in here and you see how rough this is where the bark used to be, I'll show you how fast this thing works. It's a beautiful thing to have. It contours with an irregular shape on this thing. All right, we're going to do some pre-filling. I like ultra clear epoxy. I am not sponsored by this company in any way. I used this in the past on another project, and it's a really good product. There's tons of products out there. Whatever you're comfortable with, use. But this has never failed me. So we're going to mix up a small amount, and we're going to do some pre-filling, the deeper holes. So it's a 50-50. So you want to pour equal amounts. The pre-fill is not as critical as when you get into the actual pour. And do not ever get these. Don't let anything from either container go into the other one, because you will have a hard spot. And if you get the camera down here, you can sort of see that is pretty much exact. So, popsicle sticks. Just cut some wooden, I think I'm going to pour the thinner one into the thicker one, and hopefully my cup don't runneth over. But you want it to be an equal amount. And when you think you're done mixing, mix it some more. But we're going to start out in the one container, and once we get this fairly, I wish I had something a little bit bigger to mix this in to start with, but we're going to put it in another container. And you want to work the edges around. You can see the hardener and the resin are two different consistencies, and you can see how cloudy it's getting. But what we're trying to do right now is fill deep, deep holes. So yeah, ultra clear. You got a resin and a hardener. It's 2 equal parts. And again, I can't stress how important it is to mix this thoroughly. So we're going to mix this for a few minutes. And when we're back with you next time, we'll be pre-filling this. All right, after 4 hours of mixing, no, we mix this for about 3 minutes, 4 minutes. But you can see now we're completely mixed. And if you look in there, you see all kind of air bubbles. When we do the actual casting, we're going to show you how to eliminate that problem. But I put blue tape everywhere. And the best thing to do is just let it pour down into these holes, and what you want to do is pre-fill these real deep holes, because later on this will come back and haunt you. Well, it's been a day since you've seen us last, and I did all the pre-fill I could do. I'm not going to worry about none of this stuff, because by the time you try to get all this stuff filled, it'd be almost impossible. And I think that look will be all right. But we're going to do a seal coat coming up. Here was a real deep one here, but we just pre-fill it with epoxy, get it nice and flat. And it's getting ready to go. So I prepped an area in the shop, and I don't like to be under a ceiling fan. You don't want no air movement. Go buy yourself a cheap drop cloth, and it's just nothing more than 2 mil plastic. You throw it away when you're done. And I have acquired these 2 old table pedestals that I had got from the airport when a restaurant went out of business, and they were just throwing these all in a dumpster. So what I like to do is I will set that top on here and put a couple screws from underneath, and then that gives you a nice area to work where you're not tripping over horses, because horses can be kind of a pain in the rear end when you're trying to do the epoxy. That way, if you fasten it down to these pedestals, there's no chance of it falling. So we'll get that in place, and then the next step, we're gonna mix up some resin. All right, we're ready to start mixing. And things you should have on hand: gloves, a couple good clean paint stirrers. I like little pieces of scrap plexiglass, and this works good as a spreader. And you just, when you're done with it, just throw it away. Ultra Clear is the brand we are using. I am not sponsored by this company at all, but I used it on my bar in the past. Like I said earlier, it worked well, and why change? You're going to need a torch or a heat gun and a drill with a mixer on it. And if you're mixing small amounts, you don't need the drill. You got to be careful not to put air bubbles in. So I'm going to put you up here in the camera stand, and I don't know if you'll be able to see the whole operation here. I sure hope so. But let's get started. Let's move you back this way so you're looking forward here. So I'm going to mix up close to 20 ounces. They're saying for a seal coat, you need 1 ounce per square foot. This top is a little bit over 16 square feet, but we got edges to pour, and I might even go 24 ounces. Okay, they recommend to pour the thinner one, which I believe is the hardener. And the reason being, you'll see as you pour it. In fact, let me mark this bucket here, this little container here. Yeah, so we want to go 12, then we're going to finish out there, and that'd be a lot of extra. You're better off to mix a little bit more than not enough. So we'll go ahead and put the old gloves on, and these are so tight, but it's better than trying to wear this stuff off you. They tell you keep it off your skin. So we'll go ahead and pour the thinner one in first, and we want to stop right on the line. That's perfect. And what's nice about the thinner stuff is it'll roll around. If you poured the thick stuff, you'd have a hard time getting right on that line. And you'll see how much difference this is. This is real thick. It's like pouring honey. Also, temperature is very critical. You do not want to do this on a cold day or in a cold room. And we're just about exactly, give it just a little touch. And there it is, a little dollop. Okay. Now, we're going to give it 2 minutes. So I'm just going to time it on my watch. They tell you to just put the drill all the way down and start slow. You don't need to go crazy fast, because then you're going to make a bunch of air bubbles which you really don't want to do. And don't bring this paddle up above. And after 2 minutes, we're going to go in with the stirring stick and we're going to work the edges. Some will tell you to switch containers, and that'll absolutely eliminate any hot spots or soft spots. We're almost 2 minutes in. All right, we're going to call that 2 minutes. Let that drip off for a second. And we're going to get a stick. And we are going to work. Oh, it don't matter. We're going on paper, so I'm not going to dirty up another container. So you want the square edge of the stick, and you want to work around it, scraping the sides of this container to get anything that has not been mixed. Same as the bottom. You want to work it around, keep spinning it around, because if you get anything that's not mixed, you will regret this. You'll have soft spots in it. Okay, I'm going to move this out of the way for a second so I can get a good mix on it. Then once we get this, we're going to go in it for another 2 minutes with the drill. And I'm just really trying to scrape that bottom, scraping the sides. I just noticed it has these actually have numbers on them, the stirring sticks. You learn something new all the time. All right, I feel safe with that. So let's give it 2 more minutes of the drill. And we'll be ready to go over to the bar top. Well, here goes nothing. So what we're going to do is just make a nice little trail down it. And again, we're just putting a seal coat on it. We're not trying to flood it. So I'm just going to leave that sit there and just get your piece of plexiglass and just sort of mop it around. And this will seal this so that the flood coat will basically sit on it. You got about 45 minutes of workable time. And another point I did not bring across to you is do not ever leave that sit in a container for any period of time, because then it will it'll start to gel up on you. I'm going to try to get a little bit down on this drink rail, worked in, Now we're going to use the best tool we have. We're going to get on there with our hands and just start working it on the front. And wear old shoes because you're going to get splashed. But you want to get everything good and coated here. Well, it's been one day and it is flood time. So we're going to get started here. I'm going to be using a notch trowel today. So we want to get this out of the bucket onto the top as quick as possible. You do not want to leave epoxy in a container very long. So we're going to try to make a couple rows here. They tell you 3 ounces per square foot on a flood. So I mixed up a little bit extra. Hopefully enough. Well, there it is. It's been about 20 minutes since I've seen you last, and got it pretty well leveled out, and it's beautiful. There's no other words to put it. So this concludes part 1 of the bar build for Alex, and I'll just give you one more little walk around here. So yeah, that concludes part 1 of the bar build. This piece is spalted sycamore. You're not going to find many of these. This is basically once in my career since I've seen something really so nice looking. So hey, do me a favor, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. I'd like to get more shop content coming your way in the future, and this is just really a nice project. So when you see the next part of this video, we will be building the base for the bar, and if you look over there, that metal is what he wants to make the front of it with. So it's going to be black on the front, and that should pick up some of the dark out of this sycamore. So I will catch you on the next one when we are building the base for the bar. So thanks again, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.